Lee, we've got a important show today. It's July 5th, one day after Independence Day. Oh, there goes my air conditioner. How are you doing tonight, Lee?
Good eye recognition, so I'm set.
Good. And for people who haven't seen you in a while or haven't seen you before, it's important to remind the audience that you are a stroke survivor. So nobody send me any stupid messages in the comments asking if the guest is drunk. Be sensitive. Lee is recovering from some speech issues from the stroke. But we've had a bit of a breakthrough this week, Lee, because there's some kind of CIA document that came out which is talking about George Joannides, a guy related to the JFK Assassination Records Review Board and the CIA and the assassination, who you are the only person who I have heard speak about that guy before.
It's a major thing. That's a big thing for the JFK case. But more importantly, it's a big thing for the country. Okay?
Yes.
Let me explain that. So, by the way, I'm a stroke survivor because I'm not lying here dead. That's how I can tell I'm a survivor.
Right. Yes, it's a good thing.
Be dead. But I gotta say, thanks to people at Pace, I have a cane now.
Yeah, look at that.
It's my cane.
That program is really doing you well. I have to say, you're looking well. That cane is hopefully that's helping you.
The cane is, can I brag about the cane for a second?
Yeah.
It's amazing. I can get around, not only get around, but get around fast. I can get it further than I ever walked before.
That's great.
Greater distance and much quicker. Not I'm a racer or anything, but the big thing about the cane is I don't feel like I'm going to fall over at every point.
That's good.
Before I could walk, but I was always feeling like I was going to fall over.
Yeah. There was a bit of an unsteadiness that I was concerned about, to be very honest with you. So I'm glad that you got that, because it seems like it's really going to help.
Yeah, it's really great. It's really great.
Wait a minute. I have one other question before we get underway. Did you, by any chance, eat 76 hot dogs in 10 minutes yesterday, Lee? Did you see that?
No, I know hot dogs in no minutes, but I heard about Joey Chestnut.
It's crazy, right?
That's what you got to do to win.
Yeah. This guy's crazy. He only did 71 yesterday, but his all-time record is 76. He seems pretty fit, actually, so I don't know what he does the rest of the year, but 71 hot dogs, he's the champion of that.
You're right. Amazing.
But tell us about George Joannides. What's his name? George Joannides?
Joannides. 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 It's a Greek name. So, do you understand the big thing about Joannides, though? The big thing about how that affects everyone today?
Because he admitted that he was like Lee Harvey Oswald's CIA handler or something, or the CIA admitted that or something like that?
Well, what he was the handler of the Cuban groups. And the Cuban groups, this is important. Okay, let's step back a second. Who is Congress? Don't answer. There's a lot of them, 535 or so. But who is Congress, basically?
It's supposed to be representing us.
Right. So Congress passed a law, and Congress is investigating JFK. Because a lot of people, they say the JFK stuff, it's old, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It does matter. And
yeah.
This is exactly why. When the House was investigating JFK back in the 70s, the House committee, remember there were like three JFK investigations.
Yeah.
There's a first Warren Commission.
Warren Commission, right.
Right. Then people weren't happy with that. They shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
And then the second one, the House
Select Committee on Assassinations.
That's right. That came up later. And that was Congress reinvestigating JFK, right? And that's the list before this current thing, before the release of these documents currently.
Well, no,
that
didn't
must,
they have in 1991 the JFK Assassination Records Review Boards? It was prompted by the Oliver Stone movie.
that there was a rare review board. However, the Congress was the 70s. Okay,
Oh, okay,
that's what I'm saying, and that's important because that represents the people,
right.
right?
Yep.
So Joe Neves was the CIA's liaison uh, between the CIA and Congress. Do you understand?
Right. In the 70s, right. He went to the JFK assassination, the Select Committee on Assassinations, and he was there introducing all kinds of misdirection to throw Congress off in the 70s.
I'm going to correct one point you made. He did not go to them. He was called officially. He was appointed officially to be Congress's, in other words, our liaison to the CIA. Okay? He's supposed to be the liaison between the CIA and Congress, which is
But he's
us.
just obstructed the whole time.
And now it's come out, and I've been saying this for years. He was, in fact, look, I mean, let's say someone was a liaison between you and Congress, okay? Between Jason Goodman and Congress.
Yep.
Well, you know the guy who's like your best friend
Yeah.
and your high school teacher. Okay?
Could be.
That's what happened, but no one knew it. And so now it's proven that Journeys was the liaison between Congress and the CIA, and he had a vested interest in it, in protecting the CIA, because he was protecting himself. And don't forget, these records were withheld. Mike Pompeo, when he was in charge of the CIA under Trump, kept these records hidden, right?
Yep.
So this is very bad.
Well, because this is kind of like the Rosetta Stone in many ways to, when you understand how this assassination was carried out and covered up, it really says a lot about how the CIA operates, how the CIA is really more powerful than the president. And then, there's a lot of people, Lee, you and I did a show about this pretty recently where, who was it? The James Jesus Angleton, who was doing something with Israel at the time. And a lot of people feel like Israel assassinated JFK. I don't know if you agree with this or not, but it's my opinion that the CIA wanted Israel to have nukes because the CIA can sort of secretly use a nuclear Israel to carry out its agenda and blame it on Israel. So I think that James Jesus Angleton represented a faction within the CIA that wanted to defy JFK and make sure that Israel got nukes. What do you think of that?
The faction would be the CIA. I agree with it.
The whole CIA, right.
You know, you've heard of George Galloway.
Yeah.
Right? British politician, former member of Parliament. I love George. Galloway's been very, influential on me lately. Galloway's point is the problem is not Israel. The problem is the U.S.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And one thing that a lot of people say is, well, don't be so hard on the U.S. Come on. I've studied history. I mean, that's it.
Well, wait a second, though. I would add one thing to it, because George Galloway is being a little bit perhaps too hard on the U.S., because the UK is pretty darn involved in this whole thing as well, as far as creating Israel and empowering them in these kind of deep state ways. Isn't that true?
I think the UK is very involved. However, I don't want to let the U.S. off the hook.
Well, no, I agree.
Just because of my country. I love the U.S. I love the U.S. circa like 1800. Pretty good.
It was pretty good in 1990 from my point of view. Rod is with us in the comments, Lee. He says, hello, you're looking good.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Rod.
I have my cane, so I don't have to hit Rod. So the The good thing about I can now be a proper old man.
Yeah.
Like,
Tell kids to get off the lawn and stuff.
right. I'll hit you with my cane, kids.
But back to Galloway, JFK, and more importantly, Joanides.
Right, right. So journeys, this actually proves that Congress was being obstructed by the CIA.
Yeah.
And that tells me, look, who's in charge of our government?
Right.
Like right
We don't
now.
really know.
No, I think we do know.
It's the CIA.
Right. I mean, I'm saying, let's not be shy about saying that. The CIA is clearly, the CIA has, you saw Trump on the lawn, like Trump's equivalent of get my lawn yet, Netanyahu. You saw Trump upset with Netanyahu, right?
Right. Dropping the F-bomb.
And swearing at him. That seemed to me that Trump was frustrated.
Yes.
I mean, he may have been frustrated with Netanyahu, but also I think he's frustrated. He's not in charge.
Yeah. I agree.
Now, I'm not saying he's not in charge, but he's the most in charge. So I can't name a president who's been more in charge than Trump.
I agree.
Obama was less in charge. Biden was a lot less in charge.
He's not even in charge of his bladder.
Clinton was not in charge.
No.
So Bush, obviously, he used to be the head of the CIA.
Yeah, he
was
might
not
have been in charge. No?
But no, I don't think so. I think the chain of command is the CIA, the powers that be, who that is.
You know what I think, Lee? Because you've just raised an interesting and important point. I think that both George Bush and Bill Clinton represent presidents who were heavily controlled, influenced, involved in the CIA. And there's been a lot of talk, particularly on Charles Ortel's show, about the Bill Clinton victory over George Bush. And I almost feel like that was... like when you see these movies or The Sopranos or something like that, there's all these internal fights in any of these organizations, and it's one guy kind of outsmarting the other to get to the top of the heap. And I feel like Bill Clinton did that to George Bush. He kind of came up under George Bush and then somehow tricked him or won that election, right?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I think so. And part of what took like Bush down was democracy. The fact that people are free to vote. They didn't like what he did in the Middle East. So they voted
And
against
also
him.
Ross Perot played an important role. And that takes us back to our main topic tonight, which is what's going to happen after Trump. Because, I mean, I don't know, people send me messages where they think they know what Trump thinks and they think they know what Elon Musk thinks. But I think these are two alpha dogs who, you know, you get together, you work with somebody, you disagree, you have a fight. Elon Musk is talking about starting a new political party. It seems like he might back candidates like Thomas Massie. And I don't know if that third party would win, but it's certainly going to influence politics, perhaps in a similar way to what Ross Perot did. What do you think of that?
Well, let's talk about Ross Perot for a second. Because did I tell you what Dana Carvey said?
I'm not sure. You've told me a lot of things about what Dana Carvey said and Brad Carvey.
This is a fact. Okay. Dana Carvey went to visit Bush at the end of his presidency. Okay. Because Dana did a famous Bush impression, right? So people of the Bush campaign wanted to get something in there fun for everyone. So
they liked it. I think George Bush enjoyed Dana Carvey's impression of it.
He did. And they brought Dana in. And Dana told Brad, and Brad told me, that Dana was sitting in back with George Bush on like lawn chairs on the White House. And that Bush looked over him. They were just talking, Dana and Bush, talking in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And so one thing that Bush said was that crazy fucker Perot. The quote was, that crazy fucker Perot. And he said that. And I understand why Bush would feel that way.
Yeah,
You see, he knew that Perot had cost him the election.
you're right. Yeah, I
So
remember this, that they were friends.
yeah, they're very friendly. I wouldn't say friends exactly.
Well, but that he liked the impression and that it was a rare instance of somebody impersonating a president and the president wasn't insulted by. Like, I don't think Alec Baldwin was getting invited to the, holiday parties at the White House.
Well, the thing is, before the election, he was.
All right. No more.
Yeah, and the main problem with Baldwin's impression is he was on record as not liking Trump,
It came
right?
through in the impression too, because first of all, it also wasn't a good impression. Dana Carvey did a good job of capturing certain mannerisms of Bush in a funny way, and Alec Baldwin was just sort of slamming Trump all the time.
Right. It's very political, more
Yeah,
political than funny.
exactly.
And so, but I think it's important to bring up Perot and his actual feelings about Perot because again, Bush wasn't happy with Perot.
Right.
He did blame Perot for him losing the election. And can new party? I've never seen a time better for a new party.
I agree. I
Okay,
agree.
and
And
by the way,
certainly Elon Musk is an unprecedented character in terms of having the money to make it work. I mean, Ross Perot in many ways was kind of like Elon Musk at the time. He started his own software company in the early days of computers. And there was something going on where he had like EDS was the name. Yeah, electronic data systems.
right,
And there
right,
were some people who were like captured in Iran and he sent his own team of mercenaries there to rescue them.
Black Hawk Down. That story, Black Hawk Down, the movie was
Wasn't
based.
that? No, that was Somalia. This was something different.
Look at Black Hawk Down and Perot.
Okay.
I believe. I believe. I don't know why I know no movie otherwise.
No, it was Iran. Iran hostage rescue with Ross Perot. Black Hawk Down was Somalia. Ross
Okay.
Perot, Iran hostage rescue. Legendary rescue mission.
Yeah.
Two
Thanks,
EDS
Jason.
employees were in Iran 1978. Yeah, Black Hawk Down was like 1991 or two. But even so, so he was a little bit sort of Elon Musk-ish in that he was doing this kind of bold, crazy stuff. Young, tech entrepreneur at the time. It's interesting, right?
Well, again, I think the thing about Musk that's important is his enthusiasm and his money.
Operation Hotfoot was this thing that they did in Iran.
Right. Okay. Thank you. But well, let's talk about Massie for a second. Trump's attacks on Massie are very bad. I've got to say that. Trump's attacks on Massie are very bad. I don't like them. And it shows a weakness in Trump. I think it's proving this weakness in Trump. That's Trump's a bully, and he can be an authoritarian. And the best thing Trump can do for Elon Musk is keep attacking him publicly. Keep saying, well, I don't know, I might deport him.
Yeah, that was terrible. I agree that this fight between Elon Musk and Trump, it's just sort of like, it's almost like, a divorce, right? When you're friends with both the people and you're just like watching it go terrible.
Yeah. I know no one's doing those dancing videos.
Who is doing those?
No one.
Exactly.
No more dancing Trump and dancing Elon.
Right. Yeah, right. Right.
But I think the strength that Massie got is Massie. Because Massie, I love it when people go on Twitter or something and they say Massie's an idiot. Massie's the farthest thing from an
No,
idiot.
he's not an idiot. He's like an MIT engineer who built his own like solar farm or something.
I think he's the closest thing our generation has to Jefferson.
Yeah, you're right.
He's an inventor?
Yeah.
Because he is. He's an inventor. He's doing haptic stuff. You know that, right?
I know that he was in MIT and he built that little the lapel pin that counts the debt, and he manufactures that. And I think he did make like some off-grid self-sustaining farm.
Right. He built his house into a self-sustaining house, but powered by I think Raspberry Pis and Arduino.
Yeah.
And he wrote the code. That's pretty
Yeah, he's
good.
got a video here called Off the Grid with Thomas Massie. I don't want to show it because we'll probably get struck on YouTube for that. By the way, we got to remind people, Lee, that we're just a few minutes away from our sponsor exclusive segment. People are going to be able to join us for that if they are sponsoring you on patreon.com/Stranahan. People can get on there, support Lee, check out all the stuff that he's got on Patreon. People who are sponsoring Crowdsource the Truth can also see it on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com and subscribestar.com and patreon.com. There's just a week left. They've extended it on Odyssey. I don't know if you know this, but Odyssey lost its payment processor. So for another week, people are getting the show for free on Odyssey, but we'll be on there in just a little bit. But keep going on Thomas Massie.
So I think as a person, he's the closest thing our generation has to a Jefferson. Okay, he's an inventor. He's a family man. He literally built his house, cut the wood.
Yeah, it's amazing. I admire that. I wish I could do that.
Right. And so and that element of him is what I think is a strength.
No, wait a minute, Lee, I have a question. Did they ever, this was a terrible tragedy, but his wife died at a very young age, and I don't know if they ever revealed the cause of death. I know a lot of people, you frequently go to a sinister kind of a thing, but it could have been an illness or something. He's never revealed it, I don't think.
I saw that's what it was. It's for one thing, a lot of people are going after him. Besides, let's say she died of AIDS, okay? Let's say that's the worst thing that could happen, right?
Well, I would think the CIA hitting her with that shellfish poison heart attack gun would be worse.
No, but what I'm saying is publicly, if she died of AIDS, that'd be a lot of explaining to do.
Right.
But I don't think she did, because with the amount of enemies she has, including Trump, including Israel.
You'd hear about that.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah, it was something normal.
It's his business.
Yeah, I'm not trying to pry. I'm just kind of curious if she was killed, because as you said, he's frequently going against the grain. I think there's a lot, and we're talking about the CIA assassinating JFK and running the government. We know that they have all kinds of covert assassination technologies. That heart attack gun is a real thing that they admitted to in the church committee hearings.
Yes, but again, my experience with Andrew Breitbart, because I know Andrew died of a heart attack. I know a lot, everything that was going on.
Well, it was a congenital valve failure or something, wasn't it? He had some heart disease from birth.
He'd been in the hospital a year before.
Many times, you told me, yeah.
He was in the hospital for a couple of weeks.
It's described as a congenital defect with his heart, so something he was born with.
And he was adopted, so he wouldn't know from his
family history,
parents.
Right.
Right. So, but I know people talk about that one and say, well, because he was 43. But again, I know exactly what happened because I talked to him. I was the last person, was a friend, to talk to him. I talked to him 3 hours before he died. And so I don't like when people guess why people died.
Not guessing, just saying it's unknown.
I'm not saying you, Jason.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I'm just saying in general, I don't like it. So I don't do it.
No. But it's, the CIA loves to do all kinds of covert things. So we're almost out of time here, Lee, but there's still so much more to discuss, particularly about what's going to come after Trump. We got to talk more about this fight between Trump and Elon Musk, which, Elon Musk hates the big beautiful bill. It was interesting to hear some of Elon Musk's friends. I don't know if you ever listened to the All In podcast, but some of those guys are pretty smart. And we're talking about how there are aspects to both sides of the argument that are valid in terms of different ways to get the deficit down or the debt or control the debt with increasing the GDP and lowering taxes and cutting spending. It's a big mess trying to get Congress to comply with stuff. But let's do this. We're going to carry on the conversation in the sponsor exclusive segment. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Everybody stay with us. Join us on the other side. Sponsor Lee on patreon.com/Stranahan if you're not doing that yet. And we'll see everybody in 5. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, Jason.